Hello, welcome back to our walk through the windows at Our Lady of Peace. I'm Deacon Joe, and today it's my great pleasure to share with you the window of my patron saint, the saint I was named after, Saint Joseph. And in this window, we have two symbols. The first symbol is the flowering staff. The flowering staff symbolizes that he is God's chosen one to be the husband of Mary and the father of Jesus. This is a very unique symbol that we don't find elsewhere, and so it really is specific to Saint Joseph. The other two symbols that we see in this window are of his trade. We see a hammer, which is a little bit difficult to make out, and we also see below that a saw. Of course, these are the tools that Saint Joseph would have used in his trade as a carpenter. We see that those are the only two symbols in this window, but yet they both point specifically to Saint Joseph. Now, Saint Joseph was known in Scripture as being a just man, and he's pointed out several times as being innocent, pure, gentle, tender, and prudent. We see all of these qualities in the stories about the angels appearing to him. The one story talks about how the angel appeared to him and told him that he should take his family to Egypt in order to protect them. And so we see the prudent Saint Joseph following the advice of the angel and taking his family out of harm's way. And the second story, of course, is when the angel appears to him and tells him not to be afraid to take Mary as his wife. Saint Joseph, being the faithful man that he was, showed that he believed what the angel told him. And even though all of the things were stacked against him in taking this woman as his wife, he believed in God and he trusted in the Lord, and he took Mary as his wife. But I think my favorite quality of Saint Joseph is one that is referenced in a song by Michael Card called Joseph's Song. In this song, he talks about the humility of Saint Joseph. Now, Saint Joseph, if you think about it, he had a really tough task. He was living with the Holy Family of Mary and Jesus, both of which were without sin. And so that must have been a very difficult day-to-day reality for him to face. It took a very humble man to be able to accept that position. Not only was he the head of the Holy Family, but he also had to accept that he was probably its least member. And so we really must admire Saint Joseph for his great humility and his leadership in the Holy Family. Now, I always liked Saint Joseph because growing up, I realized that I got two feast days to celebrate for Saint Joseph. There was the Feast of Saint Joseph on March 19th, but there was also the feast day of Saint Joseph the Worker. So I always considered myself a lucky kid that I had two feast days for the saint I was named after. We also know that Saint Joseph is such a tremendous person in our faith that we can look to as an example. As a husband, as a father, he really is a role model for our men. In addition, we know that Saint Joseph is recognized as the patron of the universal church. So even though he was probably the least member of the Holy Family, he still was a great saint to whom we can look to learn so much and to follow his example in our striving for holiness.